On today's episode, we're going to reveal what Quentin Tarantino says are the 7 perfect movies. We're also going to talk about some celebrities that literally asked to be written out of their own shows. Welcome to Socially Sensitive Podcast. This is Socially Solo, episode number 87. Today's Monday.
Sounds like a case of the Mondays.
October 31st, 2022. But first, let's get into our national days. National Day today, have a happy Halloween. Today is also National Caramel Apple Day. I don't know how that fits in, but I guess for Halloween and the parties and celebrations, caramel apples are a thing. Today's also National Doorbell Day. I don't really know how that fits other than go out and ring doorbells. And a lot of people on Halloween or the night before on Devil's Night go out ringing doorbells and then running. Quentin Tarantino was on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and he listed his 7 perfect movies. You know, he's the director of Pulp Fiction and a ton of other great movies. He recently said that the 1974 The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of Hollywood's only perfect films. But then he went on to explain that while his perfect 7 may not be anyone else's cup of tea, people should accept that everyone has their favorites. The other films that are shoo-ins for the top 7, he said, listed Jaws, The Exorcist, Annie Hall. He mentioned Young Frankenstein, Back to the Future, he said is the perfect film. He also mentioned Sam Peckinpah's the 1969 Western, The Wild Bunch. And he kind of said it had a few flaws, but the flaws were what also, gave it its character and made it one of the perfect films. And these stars, talking about TV shows and people, at the highlights of their careers or the highlight of their career on that show, sometimes they chose to take a step back. They literally asked to be written out of the show. And one of the first is Patrick Dempsey, who's on Grey's Anatomy. Fans were shocked, though, when Derek Shepherd, McDreamy, when he met his end in a tragic car accident in the 11th season of Grey's Anatomy, said he was interested in leaving due to his desire to work on other projects. He said that it had been long enough and that he probably should have left a little earlier even. Then there's Christopher Maloney on Law & Order, SVU. He played Detective Elliot Stabler, and, he was one half of the team on SVU. He said time takes its toll on us all, and eventually the character decides it's time to turn in his badge at the end of season 12. Turns out that he stepped away simply because of contract reasons, which is a common theme for a lot of them. So sometimes it comes as a surprise to the writers and directors. But he now has come back and is doing a spin-off series, Law and Order Organized Crime. My opinion doesn't quite hold up to SVU. And one of the big ones is Steve Carell. We all know him best on the mockumentary TV show The Office. He played Michael Scott. He remained a favorite even after the show ended. He handed in his resignation at the end of season 7 because he was wanting to make that jump into as his film career was taking off. He also said that his contract was up after the show's 7th season. And NBC didn't want to really negotiate the way he wanted, which now seems like a mistake on their part because the show definitely took a slight downturn after he left. Another one is John Amos, played the father on Good Times. He was a big part of that 70s sitcom, but it turns out he had a little bit of a rough time on the show. He wasn't happy with, I guess, the way they were taking the show and the direction it was going. He started speaking out about it against the producers privately. And then there's Dominic Monaghan on Lost. He played Mary from the Lord of the Rings series. He had a big career on the TV show Lost, which he played Charlie Pace. And then, he had the big dramatic drowning at the end of season 3. But he was fine with it. He was ready to move on. And then one of my shows that I like watching is Community, when Donald Glover, he had 5 big seasons on there as Troy Barnes. His music career and his, movie career were kind of blowing up. He asked to be let go from the show, and the producers didn't have the heart to say no. But hopefully we'll see him back for the Community movie that is rumored to be in the works. And there's Andrew Lincoln, who played Rick Grimes on The Walking Dead, him trying to lead the survivors. He could have gone on to do almost anything, but said his reason for leaving the show was that he wanted to spend more time with his family after almost 10 seasons of working hard fighting the zombies on TV. Even though the way they wrote the character, him disappearing, it left rooms for him to return in a spin-off, I guess, if they wanted to. Jim Parsons on The Big Bang Theory. It would be hard to imagine Big Bang without Sheldon Cooper. He decided he was prepared to move on to other things after season 12. That sent the producers kind of scrambling, and they countered with some amazing amounts of money that was rumored to be thrown at him. So one of the numbers that I had heard read was $50 million for 2 years. He was unswayed. I guess the showrunners decided that the show would end with season 12. But he did kind of keep the character alive by doing voiceovers for the spin-off show Young Sheldon. You ever watch Silicon Valley? T.J. Miller on there. He played Arlick Bachman. He was a big part from the beginning. So yeah, a lot of fans were upset when he left, but I guess a lot of the rest of the cast and crew was kind of relieved. Supposedly he had a few difficulties on set, harder to work with than what a lot of them wanted. They initially offered him a long kind of multi-episode arc to properly set up his departure, but he requested a blunt, sudden ending to his character, and that was kind of him striking back at being removed. Yeah, he wasn't happy there. And then, of course, the big one of all, Dave Chappelle. It was a little bit different since, Dave Chappelle, he didn't have to talk to the writers, producers to get his character removed from the Dave Chappelle show. He was the writer and producer, so all he had to do was pack up and leave. And just before the season 3 premiere of the show on Comedy Central, that's what he did. He just packed up and left. And, despite the amazing success that the show was having and how much money he was earning from it, and possibly was going to continue earning, he wasn't happy with the show. The success wasn't what he imagined it would be like. To him, he said it didn't feel right. So he killed the show and stepped away from the spotlight for a long, long time. Then he came back, not to doing the show, but his stand-up and a lot of other things. Now his career is bigger than ever. And Dave Chappelle is the GOAT. Oh, well, that's all I have today. Just want to thank everybody for being here. If you haven't subscribed, be sure and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Just want to thank you for being here. Hope you have an amazing rest of your day. See you tomorrow. Bye. If you haven't already, subscribe to Socially Sensitive on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your favorite podcast platform is. And while you're there, leave a review and a 5-star rating. You can also find us on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and all social media platforms by searching the tag @SociallySensitive. Also, check out our website, sociallysensitive.com, and grab some officially licensed products.